Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for choosing us. We'll be talking about cheating, and we also have an update on the Lola story. We hope you enjoy watching the video as much as we enjoyed making it. If you do, please like, share, and subscribe. It goes a long way. Anyway, let's get to it. Story 1. This is a follow-up post for a previous post I made 2 months ago about how I met Lola. Despite being warned by literally everybody about being with Lola, I still moved in with her. Early September, I moved out of my parents' basement with my few belongings, and Lola and I moved to town to start our new life together. She's the one that came up with the idea of moving to town. Her reason being it's a new place, new people, no gossip. We would be able to leave our past behind and start afresh. We, meaning I, got a one-bedroom house in the ghetto for 6K, no deposit, and that's why we started our new life together. Now, whenever I'm not in the house, Lola goes out to drink and breathe sweets, then comes back, showers, brushes her teeth, and pretends she was in the house all day. Her parents still need 2K urgently every other week for one reason or the other. Despite me always giving Lola money for food when I leave, I'm always being bothered at the small shops around. Your girl took this and that on credit and said you'll pay, or I delivered this and that to your house and your girl said you'll pay. I'm even paying for things I don't see in the house. I realized Lola has a drinking and lying problem and decided to teach her a lesson. I took her to a Roomba joint one weekend, and we, meaning I, bought three 750 ml vodkas for us. We drink them all without a problem. She even wants more. We leave the bar at around 11 p.m. and head home. I'm drunk and fall asleep as soon as I get home. I woke up at around 2 a.m. to neighbors complaining about how we tracked mud and spilled our takeaway food all over the place, and that we left the gate wide open. My front door was also wide open at 2 a.m., but nothing was missing except for Lola, who was nowhere to be seen. I call her mom. She has no idea where she might have gone. I check my phone. I gave her two phones. She misplaced them and uses mine now. And there's a number of outgoing and incoming calls. I check on Truecaller, and it's her exes and business associates who sometimes send her money. I go back to sleep. What am I gonna do at 2 a.m.? Next morning, her mom calls me and tells me Lola arrived at her parents' home at midnight. She was drunk, and the rider that transported her there was demanding 1,500 from them, meaning me. But I had called the same mother last night, and she said she had no idea where she was. I demanded to speak with her. Lola's not around to speak right now. I've sent her to the shop, but don't worry, my son. She was here just now. I realized they're all lying. I pack all her stuff and take them to their home that same Sunday. I find her brother. I give him her belongings and leave. Her parents call later to ask why I did that. I tell them I don't tolerate liars. They convince me that relationships are difficult. You just have to vumilia and later things will be fine. And by the way, please send us 2K urgently. I hung up on that BS call. For 3 days, Lola was neither here nor at her parents' house. She finally came back the next Wednesday night, reeking of illicit liquor and cigarettes. She had burns on her legs and scratches on her hands. I let her in and she lied that she was with her mom. Okay, fine. She did not own up to anything, her whereabouts, her injuries, nothing. Lola instead blamed me for getting her drunk 3 days ago. Okay, fine. We continued living a lie. I would leave for work, she would go on drinking and breathing sweets. I would come back home to find Lola pretending she was home all day. 3 weeks in, I'm already tired. Today I woke up at 9 a.m. to find all the cash I had on me was missing. The front door wide open, Lola nowhere to be found. She comes back drunk at around 11 a.m. and says she went out to buy food, yet there's food in the kitchen. I ask her where my money is. She says she has it, but won't give it to me. She's now stealing from me. I ask her to pack her bags and she does, but refuses to leave. Why are you doing this to me? What have I ever done to you? What will I tell my parents, Opie? She wills, but I don't care anymore. Please leave. I say, don't ever talk to me like that. Do you know who I am, Opie? She responds and heads to the kitchen and grabs a knife. So that's your decision, I ask her. No, it's yours. Come tuongee sahi basi, she says, knife in hand. You won't leave, I ask. Kuja tuongee, she replies, knife still in hand. I leave, head to my local police station, and get 3 police officers. I tell them what's happening and ask them for help. They ask for tea, as usual. I give them 1,000 bob and we head back to my place. We find Lola has placed the knife on the table and has swallowed all the medicine she could find. The cops ask her to leave and she declines. They have to forcefully take her out, like literally drag her out the door and compound. That was their job, so they left. I head back in and leave her outside with her belongings. I overheard her talking to some Buddha guy outside about fare and whatever. I'm sure I'll hear from her again. She'll borrow a phone to BS me about sorry and let's get back together and all that. but I don't care for or about Lola anymore. I've blacklisted every number related to her on my phone, her parents, siblings, friends, and whoever. I feel bad, but anyways, we live, we learn. I made my choice. It was a bad one. What's done is done. Life has to go on. Story 2. She gave me her phone to read a message or something over a dinner date. I saw an unread text from her ex asking her what time she was coming over. I couldn't feel anything after that, and I didn't know what to say to her either. The food started tasting different after that as well. Looking back, I've discovered that I'm very intuitive and I always know when something's off or wrong, even before my mind can understand what is going on. That text finally helped me put everything together. It was the last piece of the puzzle that I needed. Story 3. She's a very good player. I kept taking L's and I just figured I wasn't good enough because I'd never seen her play anyone else. Until one day I went over to her place and used her laptop. The evidence was right on the desktop. The bitch didn't even bother hiding them. It was clear as day. She had installed a namebot and wall hacks. I never played Call of Duty with her again. Yeah, that was very clever, OP. Really had us in the first half. So, in case you're a gamer, aimbots and wall hacks are auxiliaries for perfect click gameplay. They help you lock on opponents easily and such. You could be behind a wall hiding, na msee anajoke hapo, anaona health yako, your weapons, etc. It's what most streamers use. Story 4. This might be a bit long. We lost our baby in 2021. My then wife was heavily pregnant and unfortunately miscarried. We were in COVID lockdown at the time, so she had to go to the hospital alone, while I stayed home to look after our two children. They would not allow partners with you at that time. Remember this last point as I'll circle back to it. I was heartbroken and doing everything I could to keep it together, as I thought it would allow my wife time to grieve while I carried the weight. We had her mother living with us at the time, so I could not really break down as I felt uncomfortable doing so at home. I found myself stuck in a loop. I couldn't leave our baby's ashes, so I spent a few months sleeping on the sofa where the ashes were close by. I had always slept with the kids on my chest when they were born to stop them crying and to feed them from the bottle when needed. That way, my wife could sleep as I knew I'd go to work for the day, leaving her to do it alone. So, this was my way of helping. When our baby died, I felt I owed them the same and struggled to move on. It was also the only time I could cry without anyone around to see. 5 months later, there were little changes in my wife. She was going out alone more than she used to. I could smell smoke on her even though she didn't smoke, and would come home late. I trusted her completely and thought this was her way of processing the loss. 2 months later, she left, taking the children to her dad, saying she needed time to find herself again. She came back a week later, saying she was leaving me and was going to stay at her friend's. She left me with the kids, so I juggled taking them to school, feeding them, picking them up for a couple of months while she barely visited. I confronted her one day and broke down and she told me she had miscarried again on my birthday the month before. I think she'd forgotten we had not been intimate in a few months and thus had accidentally told me she got pregnant by someone else. I ran a motorcycle club with a few thousand members and I'd started getting messages about some guy proudly telling anyone that listened that he was sleeping with my wife and showing the love bites on his neck. Turns out he'd been sleeping with her for months and had even had the cheek to introduce himself to me at a bike event. Didn't obviously say he was sleeping with my wife then, but had done it to humiliate me in front of his friends that knew. I'm now divorced and have been dating a Kenyan girl for over a year and will be married next year. The ex has stopped me having any contact with my children and even told them daddy hates them. I think it's because my new partner is younger than her and very attractive, whereas the guy she left me for is incredibly fat in a very low paying job and seems a waste of space. I have a very good job and earn well. When we were together, I paid all the bills and even gave her an allowance. He can barely afford the fuel for his motorcycle. Edit to add. The bit that I said I'd circle back to. Turns out I could have gone to the hospital with her when she miscarried. She lied to me to keep me away. To this day, I don't know why. We were married 10 years with ups and downs like any couple, but I was completely in love with her and thought she was with me too. Damn, OP, I'm really sorry to hear that. Sounds like you did well for yourself, so there's that. Hope your Kenyan wife appreciates you and y'all are happy. Story 5. She came over and hit the shower immediately. That was odd because ordinarily, when she comes to my place, she goes straight to bed. My place is very cold and she only showers when necessary. After hitting the shower, we get to business and I notice a very strange odor coming from down there. After finishing, I ask if she's safe or needs to take emergency pills, and she tells me she took one just before coming to my place. because she knew that I'd definitely finish inside. I do 1 + 1 + 1 and confront her about it, to which she becomes aggressively defensive, and that's when I ask to see her phone. The heartbreak I witnessed was presidential. Oh, and the order was because she had slept with another guy who finished inside in the afternoon. Had to take PEP the next day because she was having unprotected sex with 3 other guys. Story 6. She was acting strange for a month. Decided to go through her phone. Simu ya partner ni kitungu is not just a phrase, guys. LOL. Nilipata message thread wakidiscuss stories za P2 na kwenda kupimwa. It was a mubaba. Freaking broke me. I haven't been able to get into a serious relationship since then. I just don't trust anyone or stories I love dinner. Story 7. She got some hardcore STD, yet I always cover up. She walked funny for almost 6 months. The bacteria really chewed her proper. Story 8. Opened my homeboy's Snapchat when a notification popped up unexpectedly when ordering something through his phone. They were talking with my girl about how yesterday's sex was awesome. I couldn't breathe for 4 days. They had had sex a couple of times. Oh, and they also had sex the next day after that and went on to date for the next 4 months. Damn, sorry OP, but you know what they say, kikulacho kingo ni mwako. Story 9. She was working out of town and would spend time with me, but occasionally she would say she has a lot of work and has to be on duty even during the weekends. Red flag. So one day she broke her phone and it needed to be fixed. So I took it to the fundi. After fixing it, I was curious enough to go through the phone. She had installed an app called Bolt. It required a password to open. Well, me being tech savvy, I plugged it into my laptop and went straight to File Explorer. Headed to the Vault folder and found encrypted files. I went to Pictures folder and changed the extension of the encrypted files to something like numerals.bat to numerals.jpg. And boom, intimate photos of her with a workmate. Oh man, honestly, I don't think I've ever faced a serious heartbreak like that day. I confronted her, and the only apology I got was that sorry, and don't tell anyone. I blocked her everywhere. Story 10. Well, let me tell y'all. Kuna this time I was seeing this lady, right? Alafu, I had introduced her to my friend Oidhaka. Alikuwa anaishi pale 87. So this one time she goes out with this dude. Alafu akaenda some pork place hapo Thiru. Then my G Waithaka calls me and he's like, yo, your women's ako hapo on a date with some guy and whatnot. I just played it cool, nikakaa kwa hiyo relationship for another month, all the while just planning my exit. Story 11. Mtu yenyewe achana naye kabisa. So I had a girlfriend back in uni. At that time, we were having sex and stuff. Later on, there was this ninja from their class. Alikuwa anamdai so much to a point I even noticed when we would chill after class. At campus, could those discussions after class. Minikaona Z, I investigated and later came to find out she was smashing the guy. Minikaenda hiyo story. After a few months, nilianza kuwa na koo flani, si normal, iko dry na nasweat sana usiku. Nikameza dawa ikatulia. Later on nikarudi tena. Mi nikaamua kwenda hosi kujua rada ni gani. Manze nilijipata niko na STI. Tangu hiyo siku nilisare stories za mademo wa campus kabisa. Sahi niko poa na sina STI ama ukedi. Dem nilisikia alizidi ocha kujificha huko. Rumors zinapewa anaenda kugotea kina Goliath. Story 12. Some babes are the worst. It makes me laugh now though. One of my exes tried to juggle my 2 best friends and I. Poor thing thought each of us would keep it to ourselves. Tulitana chama sisi watatu na tukapiga my relationship postmortem and both came clean. I confronted her thereafter and she had nothing to say. I think sometimes babes underestimate the strength of a bond between guys that are good friends. Story 13. She came over, we hung out and did our thing. Went to get her a glass of water and found her phone blowing up on the kitchen counter. I wanted to pick it and take it to her, only to find her ex texting her, thanking her for the previous Thursday. A day she was off and on and said she was in class. Niliisha nguvu. But I forgave her and she did it again. Then I forgave her again, only this time I made sure we worked things out, then I ghosted her royally after a long period of complete bliss. Absolutely worth it. You know, OP, at first I was like, this guy, but then you kinda canoed her back in the end, so I guess power to you, sir. Story 14. She used to send me Instagram reels every day. One Sunday she went cold, never sent reels, and was acting like I'm bothering her. She came home with a new smartwatch and lied that she ordered it online. Being an intuitive person who is a professional overthinker, I saw the gaps in her stories. One day, I was using her PC and saw the WhatsApp web messages with her BFF. She was starting to see the other guy, and she was looking for a way to break up with me without hurting me because I never did anything wrong to her. I was all okay until 3 a.m. when I woke her up broke up with her, and gave her a week to leave my house. Right now, I'm just using women for pleasure, nothing serious anymore. Well, OP, I get where you're coming from, and that was messed up, but hey, never say never. Don't close yourself off to love or turn toxic because of some chick. It happens. You just, well, feel it and try again, and maybe the next time it's better. Story 15. It was the day right after my 17th birthday. She spent the night over for the first time ever, and I had an amazing time. So the day after, she was taking a nap on the couch, and I was playing some Apex with my boy. Her phone was charging right there, and something told me to check that phone. Don't ask me what it was, but I had a strong feeling too. I had access to her phone, and she had access to mine, but I never needed to check hers because we trusted each other. I open WhatsApp, and the first contact I see has a few unread messages with heart emojis. I thought maybe this was one of her girlfriends because y'all know how they be. I was so wrong. She'd been flirting, calling, and sending messages to not even some random guy. It was a guy I hated with a passion. After that, all I did was wake her up gently, call her a cab, paid for it, and sent her home. She was crying the whole time, saying it was a mistake and she'd never do it again. All I did was kiss her on her forehead and send her home. I never felt anything at all. Damn, that felt good, right? Story 16. She told me, babe, I'll cheat on you one day. We laughed at the lame joke. Months down the line, I realized she'd been dating my workmate. She was not defensive, she just reminded me that she was honest and had told me it was bound to happen. I have never felt so stupid. Story 17. My intuition told me and I never waited for evidence. Kuna jina ilianza kutajwa sana hadi nikaitwa accidentally. Bedhe punda yeye. That's all the stories we have for today. Thank you for joining me. Feel free to send us your submissions, be it stories or prompts you want to see narrated. We'll check them all out. You can also always leave your submission in the comments and it will be included in future volumes. Anyway, guys, have a good day or night wherever you are, and we'll see you in the next one.